Let's learn about IELTS listening test question types. The IELTS listening test has 3 main question types. 1. Fill in the gaps questions. 2. Multiple choice questions. 3. Map questions. Each of these question types tests a different set of skills, and therefore each question type requires a different strategy. Now let's look at map questions. Map questions show you a map and then ask you to identify locations on the map by listening to a monologue, one person speaking and describing the map. How they look. Here is an example of what map questions look like. You can see there's a map in the middle of the page and under that some questions. We need to complete the questions by finding on the map the locations mentioned in the questions. Note that you will hear the words in the questions since they are the names of the locations you have to find. Skills tested. Map questions test your knowledge of direction vocabulary and your ability to listen to instructions and follow them. They also test your ability to relate information you hear to information that you see and read. Strategy. Before the listening exercise starts, follow this process. 1. Look for any information symbols on the map. Sometimes you will see a compass, usually in a top corner, showing you the directions of north, south, east, and west. You can see it here in the top left of this map. When you see this, you can be sure the listening exercise will refer to those directions, so it's important to listen for them. Sometimes you will see a key, which is a set of symbols, usually in a bottom corner, with some text explaining what they mean. Here's an image of what it could look like on another map. When you see this, you can be sure that the listening exercise will refer to the information represented by those symbols, so it's important to listen for them. 2. Look for any locations or items on the map which are named. These places will almost always be mentioned because the speaker will refer to them in order to help you understand the correct way to go to locate the places you need to find for the answers. Look for any places which don't have a name, which are quite close to a place which does have a name. When you see these, you can guess they are more likely to be answers. For example, on this map, we can see C is in the orchard. Because it's very close to a place which is named, you can guess it is more likely to be a place you have to go to as an answer. Additionally, for some reason, when you see a place on an IELTS listening map and it's quite close to or among a group of trees, very often it's a place you're going to have to go to. I don't know exactly why, but it's a very strong pattern with IELTS listening exercises. Looking at our map again, we can see F is opposite the gardens. So I'm guessing F is more likely, not certain, but more likely to be a place we'll have to go to. What about H? That's in a corner of the car park, so that seems quite likely. But H is near something else that's important, so let's talk about that first. 3. When you see 2 places which both don't have names, and they are quite close to each other, it is very likely that one of them is a real answer and the other one is a distractor. So now let's go back to H. We can see it's in the corner of the car park, and because it's a place which doesn't have a name, which is quite close to a place which does have a name, it's more likely to be one of our answers. However, it's also very close to G, and when we see 2 places which both don't have names, and they are quite close together, especially when they are near a place which has a name, we can guess one of them is probably a real answer and the other is a distractor. So in this case, I'm not very sure that H is an answer, but I am sure that we will have to go to either G or H. Either way, the listening exercise will mention the car park. H would be located in the bottom left of the car park, and G would be located just outside the car park, along that small path to the west. Looking at this map, I can also see D and E are quite close to each other. They're both at the end of this little lane. D is above and E is below the lane. Because they are quite close to each other and at the end of this lane, I'm guessing one of them is the real answer and the other one is the distractor. I don't know exactly which one is which, but I'm going to have to listen for the direction to tell me. If the answer is D, I will be turning right toward the north of the map. If the answer is E, I will be turning left to the south of the map. Additionally, I can see they are different sizes and different shapes. So that's something else I should listen for in case that's the way that the listening exercise tells me the difference between them. I'm also looking at A and B, another two places which both don't have names and which are quite close to each other. Now, neither of those is very close to anything which has a name, so I'm not sure which one is the right answer. However, I notice that A is at the end of the path, and I know from experience that places at the end of a path are easier to find, and therefore I think A is slightly more likely to be the answer. I might be wrong about this, but I know the answer is going to be A or B, and I just think A is a little more likely. Fourthly, a place that you have to go to on a map which is a real answer usually uses two clear pieces of information to help you find it. For example, they'll say next to the supermarket, opposite the bank, or over the bridge, next to the theatre, or they'll say something like on the corner of Bridge Street and Sunny Road. Take particular note of places which don't have a name, which are on or very near street corners. They are definitely more likely to be correct answers. Review. After the listening exercise has finished, there's not much you can do with map exercises to check your answers are correct. Still, it can be valuable to read over your answers again in case you remember something which makes you decide you need to change an answer. Something which is useful with map exercises is that they always make sense. So if you see a location you've chosen and you've put it in a position which doesn't really make a lot of sense, you should think hard about maybe changing that answer. For instance, a location like a ticket booth is more likely to be near the entrance of a location like a park. Similarly, a barbecue is more likely to be near a picnic area and toilets.